Welcome to SVG-TV News for Thursday, July 23rd, 2015. I am Jennifer Richardson with the details. The Seismic Research Center of the University of the West Indies, St. Augustine, Trinidad, has notified authorities in the Eastern Caribbean, including here in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, that there has been heightened seismic activities at Kikum-Jenny, an underwater volcano. Kikum-Jenny is located at 12 degrees. That's 12 and 18 degrees north and 061 degrees and 38 degrees west, or 8 kilometers or 4.32 nautical miles north of Grenada. Providing an update on the activities at the volcano on radio earlier this afternoon, Director of the UWI Seismic Research Center, Dr. Richard Robertson, who is currently in the state on other matters, says since July 11th there has been an increase in the number of small earthquakes which are usually associated with volcanoes prior to some sort of eruptive activity. He says up to last evening there were 200 events recorded, and the activities at the volcano have progressively increased in terms of numbers and size.
Morning at about 1:25 a.m. between 1:25 and 3 a.m. our seismic instruments recorded a particularly strong continuous signal on the instruments that are closest to Kikum-Jenny. We have since analyzed these signals, and based on a particular signature that you have when you have an underwater eruption, it's something that's called a T-phase, based on the fact that we have recorded one of these T-phases at monitoring stations to the north of the Eastern Caribbean. In fact, in Montserrat, they have recorded this T-phase. We can now confirm that this event this morning that occurred between about 1:25 and 3, or at some point in time between that time, there was an eruption of some sort at Kikum-Jenny underwater volcano. Usually how these eruptions occur, they would more than likely in this case have not caused any physical changes sort of at the surface, and people would not have noticed anything apart from the seismicity that we've been reporting.
According to Dr. Robertson, since the eruption this morning, the elevated activities continue, including recorded earthquakes, which have increased in magnitude. He, however, pointed out that it is not the first time the volcano has erupted, and that such activity is usually confined beneath the surface of the water. However, there is always the possibility the eruption magnitude could increase to break through the surface.
So the most likely scenario as we move forward is that you may have this period of increased seismicity for a little bit longer. The most concerning aspect of it currently is for shipping that is associated with the Kikum-Jenny area, so that currently the government of Grenada has increased the alert level to orange, and it means therefore that ships shouldn't be within 5 kilometers of the summit of Kikum-Jenny volcano, and that's mainly to safeguard against the possibility of them being affected by some sort of eruptive activity. Seismicers continue to monitor the situation. We are in close contact with the national disaster coordinators in St. Vincent and in Grenada and in neighboring islands in the region. We have updated them, both these disaster management agencies and regional agencies like SVG, and we have put out press releases in terms of what is continuing.
Dr. Robertson further states that while he understands the concerns of persons, the activities that have been recorded thus far are like similar patterns exhibited in the past, noting that since 1935, on average, there has been one episode like what is occurring now every 10 years, with the last eruption taking place in 2001. So
we were expecting in a sense that something would happen within the next couple of years. In fact, it's a bit overdue in a sense, so this is not unusual in that sense. People have quite a bit of concern in terms of the potential for tsunami generation. We don't think that is something that you should be too concerned about currently. If it does get to that stage, of course, we'll keep monitoring the situation and alerting the authorities. There's always a possibility that you could have much larger magnitude events during a particular sequence that could break the surface and could generate some small wave. Currently, it's too early to say what would happen in that regard, and certainly in terms of the depth of Kikum-Jenny, that kind of scenario of it possibly generating tsunami is very low, quite low, and nothing that people should worry about. I think the main thing is really its impact potentially on shipping and on maritime vessels in that area.
The Seismic Research Center director says they are continuing to monitor the situation, and if the activities continue, the alert level may change and they will notify the relevant authorities as such. He says persons must continue to monitor the various reports put out by the various agencies. The 14 Vincentians who just over 2 weeks ago left the state for medical intervention on their eyes in Venezuela were today welcomed back home. They were received at the E.T. Joshua Airport by government officials, including Minister of Health Clayton Bergen and Deputy Prime Minister and Minister of Education Gerlin Miguel. Of the 14 Vincentian patients, only 10 reportedly had their surgeries done due to other medical complications. A few of the patients spoke of their experiences while in the South American country. Among them was caretaker for the Northern Grenadines, Herman Belmar.
I want to first of all say thanks to Nurse Israel for accompanying us. She was much younger than many of us, but I think she was more than a mother to us. And to combine her efforts with the people of Venezuela, the nurses, the doctors, the maids, the persons who drove the bus that took us around, there was absolutely nothing that we needed that we did not get. The love, the solidarity, the friendship, the bonds that we experience in Venezuela is I think it's going to be a lasting impression on the rest of us for the rest of our lives. We bonded as a family. There were times when we felt that we need to probably spank a few of us, but we survived it all, we managed through it, and we're back here to show our gratitude.
I just like to say I'm very glad I went in Venezuela, and it's real nice. I enjoy it, especially yesterday. I go to all those stores. And I only one problem I have, I couldn't get to buy anything, but it was real nice. It was real nice. But with the eyes, with the car, the reason why I did not do my eyes is because I didn't have, what do they call it? Pulmonary, something like that. I can't really pronounce it, but it comes from the can't breathe in. I couldn't even breathe properly, and when they do the test with me, they told me I can't do my surgery because it will be difficult to me with my eyes. I either could blind or something or the other, so I decided to not take it until I get better.
I want to say that it is very costly, very exorbitant the cost. Could be $5,000 for each surgery. And if we shall multiply that in mental arithmetic, we'll understand the 10 of us, that's $50,000 alone, excluding the accommodation, the transportation. For this, we owe the government of the Republic of Venezuela. We cannot reimburse them in monetary forms, but we owe them profound gratitude. In this, we say thanks to the government and the people of Venezuela, and thanks to the government of St. Vincent and the Grenadines.
And the second batch of Vincentians for eye surgeries left the state for Venezuela today. Minister of Health, Wellness and the Environment, Clayton Bergen, thanked the people of Venezuela for their continued support to the people of SVG. Bergen says with the health being a very important part of a person's well-being, no government or individual can solely address the issue of proper health care, and as a result, collaborations and cooperations are extremely necessary.
You, the individual, have your part to play, the government also, and then we have friends, either individual, organization, and other countries. And Venezuela is one such country that is a dear friend to us. They came here to St. Vincent to screen a number of persons. 14 went off, will be coming in soon. 14 of you going again. Over 500 is being treated at the Milton Cato Memorial Hospital at this moment. And they have been really generous to us.
Bergen further wished the patients well and urged them to be good ambassadors for SVG.
Here to give you support, to wish you all the best, to wish you well, asking you to be good ambassador too for us in Venezuela. So when you go down there, you're going to treat them, the same way and show them the hospitality of Vincentian and how we appreciate their services. And they themselves, I know, would treat you kindly, because I got a report, Deputy Prime Minister, from the charge of the affair sometime where 3 newspapers in Venezuela had this activity, the miracle mission with Vincent Chenons on the front page. But I can't speak Spanish, so they don't read them. But have told me about it, you know, and that augurs well, you know. And you could see the happy faces of the Vincentians who went down there, you know, and got their treatment, their surgery, and we are so happy and delighted.
The health minister further pointed out that the 4 persons of batch 1 who were unable to have their surgeries done in Venezuela will have the surgeries done here once their health conditions improve.
They had other conditions, other ailments that they were not able to get under control, even though they were treated and given medication. So they gave them time to heal. So sometime to come, they would go down to the hospital and do this treatment. One had a slight heart, pulmonary problem, another one blood pressure go up, because some people when they get scared and so on. So I hope none of you 14 here get scared and send up your blood pressure and so on, you know. I want you to have blood pressure like me. The pressure, you know. Last week Thursday when I went to check my pressure, and my right side was 102/74. And the right side was 115/80, so I'm like a baby, you know. And when I went to Cuba at a meeting, I took the opportunity to move the temperature from my eyes as well. And every time they come and check my pressure, they say, Minister, baby pressure, 111/70, 117/, it never went beyond 117. So.
Charge of Affairs of the Venezuelan Embassy, Daliana Guaniper, says the team of medical practitioners currently in SVG from Venezuela has already carried out a total of 51 surgeries on locals.
14 cataracts and 37 pterygium. Patients are attending as 21 patients, and we are 10 additional patients that came to the doctors and said that they was feeling, they think they have cataract. They was revised, evaluated, they was sent to do tests, and they was approved to do surgery. So we are 10 to this team this week. Next week we will have another team. That will be the last team for this plan that we have of 3 weeks for this month. And then they will come for the post-operating to check all the patients that was already done surgery. And as Minister Borden said, this will not finish here, because you always will have patients with cataract and pterygium, so Venezuelan doctors will come and check again, and we will do surgeries again and continue with the agreement and cooperation with Sylvester and the Grenadiers.
A number of high-powered guns and ammunition were discovered in the mountains on the northwestern side of mainland St. Vincent earlier this week. The findings were disclosed by Commissioner of Police Michael Charles at a media conference earlier this afternoon. Commissioner Charles says the discovery was made during a training exercise by participants of the Regional Security System Basic Level 2 course and members of the local police force, including the Special Services Unit, the Rapid Response Unit, the Narcotics Division, and the Coast Guard Service. The top cop explains that the discovery of 4 high-powered guns was made in some shacks in the Rosa Mountain.
In the high-powered rifle, carry 7.62 round of ammunition, and this 7.62 is same round that the M60 firearm carrier, the Tier 3, same size round, the Tier 3 rifle. We have a .22 rifle and 2 12-gauge shotguns. These were discovered in the shacks. The occupants ran as the police get close to the shack, so no one were arrested for these. In addition to the firearms, we discovered 5 cases of shotgun ammunition. They all amounted to 119 shotgun cartridges and 3.762 round of ammunition. And I stated the point 7.62 they were actually used for the high-powered rifle. And bulletproof vests. These were discovered.
He pointed out that the police never stopped patrolling the forest and that further investigations will be conducted in relation to the guns and ammunition found.
Well, we don't manufacture firearms, no ammunition. But if you look at the brand, the Eurotrap brand is out of Europe, and as you are aware that Martinique and Guadeloupe are dependencies of Europe, France. So there's a strong possibility that these may be from Martinique, and Martinique is just a stone throw from us.
Commissioner Charles also pointed out that during the exercise, 4,866 marijuana plants were destroyed, along with 829,121 seedlings and 3,198 pounds of marijuana. He says 128,172 other mature plants were also destroyed. The Evangelical Churches of the West Indies, the ECWI, are ensuring that their voices are heard on the issue of same-sex marriages here in the region. At a media conference earlier today, after the conclusion of their biannual General Council meeting to decide on policies and issues concerning the church, the leaders say that their beliefs remain intact and unmoving pertaining to same-sex marriages. According to Reverend Gerald Keynes Douglas, Vice Superintendent and Moderator for Grenada, divergence from the sacred traditional man and woman union, which represents the greatest fabric holding society together, is detrimental, dangerous, and destructive to everyone involved.
We took a policy position to stand on the biblical principle that marriage is a relationship ordained by God between a man and a woman. We understand that the world may challenge, dishonor, create its own ideas of family and marriage. We nonetheless remain very firm in maintaining that marriage is God's idea and must be understood and defined by God Himself. Therefore, we categorically reject same-sex marriage as the plan of God. It's a perversion of and a diversion from the principles laid out in Scripture.
Keynes Douglas says that the ECWI firmly believes that same-sex marriages damage God's template and design of who human being was created to be and interferes with the manner in which each individual should behave in society.
We feel strongly about this issue because it is the first institution given by God, and there are reasons. Number one, it expresses the equality of the sexes, male and female. God made them as man. Number two, it gives identity to human beings, and there is no gender crisis at all. Number three, it gives security to people because you know who you are under God, and God is the creator of all things. And number four, marriage as ordained by God is a picture of the sacred relationship between Jesus Christ and His church. Hence, any diversion from this does damage to God's original template and design and understanding of who we are and how we should operate in society.
The Reverend made it clear that the non-acceptance of same-sex marriages does not mean the evangelical churches in St. Vincent and the Grenadines are hateful or bigots in any way to persons who have a different preference in sexual orientation. He says since God is able to save and transform lives, the church is all open to these persons and that they will be treated with love and compassion.
Ask people not to judge us as being hate-baiters, as being bigots, or in any way having hatred to any or all who may differ with us as far as their sexual preferences are concerned. We love all men according to the Scripture. And so we are not here to express hate or not here to express any form of dislike for any group or persons in our society. We believe, you see, that the grace of Jehovah God provided by the redemptive work of our Lord Jesus Christ is available and is able to bring salvation and transformation to any and all persons of the LGBT community, or any who will practice any form of homosexuality or other forms of perversion, sexual perversion, that are biblically unacceptable. We therefore resolve to treat such persons with love, with compassion, and to make every effort to extend the grace of God to them.
Another minister acting on behalf of the Pentecostal Assemblies of SVG says that their ministries hold a biblical view of what God has to say on the subject of same-sex marriages, and that they will not alter nor add to it. Same-sex marriages will not be supported by their ministries as well. Additionally, the Reverend says that the ECWI forbids all its ministers to ever perform a same-sex marriage, now or ever in the future, since this goes completely against the foundation upon which their religion is built.
As an organization, none of our ministers or pastors will perform, encourage, or support in any way marriage that is not according to God's plan as we have now outlined. Any of our ministers who go beyond this and do otherwise will be disciplined, and we will seek to have their license revoked. Further, we will publish this among all of our churches and stand on this with other members of the religious community as our position for all time.
Vincentians turned out in their numbers yesterday afternoon for the funeral service of the late stalwart lawyer and human rights president Nicole Sylvester at the St. Mary's Roman Catholic Church in Kingstown. We get more on the proceedings in this report by Sharon Garraway.
The stream of persons from all walks of life who came to pay their last respect to the late Nicole Othlyn Michelle Sylvester was a testament of the way she lived. Mother of her two teenage sons, Nicholas and Justin, activist and consummate love of the arts, and her 20 dogs, Sylvester is who many persons can vouch is someone who tried to help everyone she came in contact with. At just 51 years, the prominent lawyer and president of the Human Rights Association was known as a strong advocate and a champion of civil liberties, particularly for the disadvantaged. Parnell Campbell QC and Jeannie Oliver of the Human Rights Association explain.
She said it as she saw it. And very often, whenever she perceived injustice, she demonstrated the courage of her conviction by organizing or joining in demonstrations and other means of peaceful and democratic protest. She truly railed against what she perceived as sin.
She was meek and humble at heart. She was endowed with special gifts and talent by God, and don't doubt that. And she utilized these often and wisely. It was as though she received the deepest peace that anyone could have obtained. Yet, she spoke with sharp words on issues that were considered not to be touched or to be left alone.
President of the Organization of Eastern Caribbean States, OECS Bar Association, Ruggles Ferguson, also expressed the immense respect the regional law fraternity had for Sylvester, who served as president from 2004 to 2006.
I recall being immediately struck by her immediate warmth and inner beauty, which I detected, her candor and intelligence, all of which I've enjoyed over the years, and of her commitment to the cause of regional identification and integration of the justice system of the Caribbean region.
Close friend and confidant Ianthea Legetwood Octave says Sylvester knew the importance of getting and extending grace. She revealed that before Sylvester's passing, she wrote a book entitled Surrender to Grace.
But Janelle Gibson, who is interning in the office, she has done so for 3 years. She kept saying to me, before you do your tribute, you need to read the book. You've heard mention of that book today. Nicole wrote a book. It is here, the manuscript. It is called Surrender to Grace. We spoke to the publishers not long before she passed. We paid the cost for publishing. We had one document left to execute.
Sylvester's medical practitioner, Dr. Philip Louis, admitted that he was amazed by Sylvester's recovery after her surgery and was surprised by the sudden passing. He assured the congregation that Sylvester was at peace, as he called her that very morning of her passing, and she revealed to him that she had an epiphany of Jesus.
So I asked her, I said, Nicole, how do you feel? She says, Doctor, I feel better than I've ever felt. She says, I am just doing. I says, Michelle, Nicole, I know you've been through a lot, and there's a lot that's coming forward. Is that depressing you? She says, I am not depressed. I am happy. I'm very content. I am at peace with myself. I'm at peace with the Lord, and I am willing to accept whatever the Lord has for me. And I said, okay, Nicole.
Other touching tributes were made by family and close friends, namely cousin Justice Sharon Comajong Janelli and Courtney Devonish.
But I cry only briefly as she beckons me from the heavens to buck up and smile and to redirect my focus to her life, her accomplishments.
Nicole was a very private person, who demand 110% loyalty from her friends and gave 120%.
A huge void has been left, and the question that is now being asked is, who will step up to make that impact that has been made by Sylvester, who since her passing has been described as a fallen hero? Sharon Garraway, SVG Television News.
And other persons who attended the funeral also used the opportunity to reflect on what they remembered most about Sylvester.
Her sound counsel and wisdom. When I have a problem, no matter how late it is, I could have called her and get some wise counsel. I'd miss her very much.
She has left an important legacy, which is one of fighting on behalf of the poor and fighting for human rights.
It's a good woman. I don't think they have many like her in St. Vincent left who will fight for everybody. We have people fighting for one side or the next, but she fought for everybody.
She was a very helpful person, always willing to help, especially in the area of helping other people when they cannot afford to pay the legal costs. She will be always remembered for the work that she has done to this country.
I would like to say on behalf of the psychology professionals in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, as well as the mental health center, that Nicole was both a beautiful person and a wonderful person. She and I did some work together, and we were trying to put together the Mental Health Association again. So that speaks to her humanitarian interest.
So my deepest sympathy to Nicole's family, and God bless you all.
As a journalist operating in an environment where you could hardly find anybody to speak to anything, especially in a professional capacity, Nicole was absolutely a treat. You could call up Nicole and she would never fudge on an issue. She was forthright and she knew exactly where she stood. And that is what I think most I'm going to miss about Nicole, the fact that she was forthright, she was professional, and she knew her subject. Whatever it was, you could be confident that when you walked away from Nicole, you had a whole story.
Champion for human rights, that's why I came. So anybody who stand up for human rights is my hero. So she's a hero in my book. The work she did for human rights. She had a fantastic send-off. I really enjoyed the Catholic Mass. It's different to my Methodist, but I always enjoy it.
Someone who allows herself to be spent and spend for the well-being of others. And I think she was a great resource for St. Vincent and the Grenadines, rather irreplaceable. And I hope her life has been exemplary for the younger people of St. Vincent and the Grenadines, that may continue and try to walk in her footsteps and keep the light burning.